Welcome to Housatonic Community College and the inaugural induction ceremony of the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame. I am Barbara Johnson. I'm past president of the Housatonic Community College Foundation and one of the co-chairs for this evening's event. You may have asked or thought to yourself when you received your invitation, why start a National Manufacturing Hall of Fame in Bridgeport? To which our steering committee and the Housatonic Community College Foundation would say, why not? The Hall of Fame is not only honoring manufacturing, it is raising funds for educational manufacturing programs as well as raising awareness with the public about manufacturing careers. This year, 100% of the funds raised will benefit the Advanced Manufacturing Center here at Housatonic Community College. In fact, our graduates from the first 2 years of the program are already filling the vacant positions in precision manufacturing locally. So you see, starting the Hall of Fame in Bridgeport, once known as the industrial capital of Connecticut, is a natural. How many of you here knew that Bridgeport was named the industrial capital of Connecticut? Please raise your hand. All right. Did you know that WICC's call letters are industrial capital of Connecticut? Aha. My husband told me that, so I hope he's correct. Tonight's event is an opportunity to honor the innovative companies who were part of Bridgeport's vibrant manufacturing history and to highlight their role in the greatest industrial era, not only in American history, but in human history. It also provides a way to build awareness of the opportunities that exist today in this new dawn of manufacturing and the accompanying innovation that is building local businesses today. Our committee believes that understanding the greatness of the past will help us to build a bridge to a better future. The Hall of Fame has already gained a great deal of attention at the launch event in July, when we first announced our inductees. Our first video of the night is going to play right now, and you'll hear some voices from the stage on that very day, July 15th, 2014.
I'm very pleased to join you here today to help introduce the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame.
Everything we do every single day relies first on someone's ability to put a nut and a bolt together.
This is the foundation. Without this, we wouldn't be sitting here.
We are on the cusp of the next industrial revolution. The technology is here, the people are here, the capacity is here.
Someone's got to lay the bricks. We have to reinstate the tinkering spirit in young children, then they become adults who innovate.
There's something about completing something with your hands. It's not your father's or your grandfather's manufacturing anymore.
Made in America still means something.
Today, we hear about the innovation of manufacture of technology, I should say, with the newest X, Y, Z phone or some app that just got purchased for $1 billion, though it may never even make a profit. Well, tonight we honor the innovators whose inventions still resonate. If the Bullards didn't invent the combination turret lathe, then maybe the automobile industry would never have taken off. If Banno and Wallstrom didn't invent the rotating milling head and the Bridgeport machine, then it's possible Sikorsky wouldn't build the helicopter and millions of desperate, scared people would not be rescued. If Hubble didn't standardize the electrical industry and put in the first safety features, then maybe the US wouldn't have become the world power it is today between the wars. It was between the wars and still is. And if Warner's didn't innovate women's undergarments, I might not be standing here today. Because let me tell all the guys in the audience, it certainly is no fun to be the prisoner in your own clothing. And that was the start of the modern women's movement. So that's why we're here today, and I want to thank you for joining us. But the support of all of you is so important, but especially our sponsors, because it's a testimony to the belief that this cause of manufacturing and the innovation and new training is worth supporting. We have to offer many thanks to Bloom Shapiro, a platinum sponsor and our key partner in this endeavor. Our thanks also go to our gold and silver sponsors, the Barden Foundation, Bridgeport Fittings, Humble Incorporated, Idea Engine USA, Ashcroft, United Illuminating, Morganti, and Assa Abloy. Tonight's celebration is just the beginning of the development of the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame. By the end of this evening, we all hope you will join us as an advocate. So when someone asks you, why would you start a National Manufacturing Hall of Fame in Bridgeport? You can answer, haven't you heard? They just did. Everything the Housatonic Community College Foundation does in this support of students and programs of the college. We are fortunate that the President's Office of this college has always been a full partner in our fundraising efforts. And that is the case even during this transition, while we search for a new president to replace Anita Glinetsky, and her transition process is in process. Interim President Elizabeth Roop has already begun working with us on the Hall of Fame and other efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me and join me in welcoming President Elizabeth Roop.
Barbara just told me she promoted me. Thank you, Barbara. Thanks. So good evening, everyone. This is indeed an exciting event for all of us at Housatonic Community College and for its foundation. The work the foundation does on behalf of our students and programs at the college is critical. This event is just one example of the impact those efforts can make in helping us to provide opportunities for student success. On behalf of the students, staff, and faculty of Housatonic Community College, I want to thank the Foundation Board President, Christopher McCormick, who couldn't join us here this evening, Barbara Johnson, of course, Ken Lisk, Dan Wisniewski, who are the co-chairs of the Standing Committee for the Hall of Fame. Also, thank you to Christopher Carollo, the Executive Director of the Foundation, and all of the committee members who put their time and energy into launching this very ambitious project. You'll find their names, many of them, a good-sized group, all committee members in tonight's program. It is my pleasure and privilege to offer congratulations on behalf of the entire HCC community to the representatives of the companies that will be inducted into the Manufacturing Hall of Fame later this evening. The history of enterprise and community contributions of these companies will both inspire and inform our students. The Housatonic Community College Advanced Manufacturing Center was built in partnership with the manufacturing community. Their input helped us to build a curriculum and to provide internships that truly meet the needs of both students and of our local employers. The Advanced Manufacturing Center has just begun its third year this fall, and we're proud of last year's certificate completion rate, which we're happy to report is 96%. That means those students are in available jobs in the greater Bridgeport area. These students are employed, yes, that's wonderful. I guess I don't need this footnote. These students are employed in well-paying jobs with good benefits. It's fantastic. And these jobs and the internships that many students participated in while in the machine technology program represent companies all over southwestern Connecticut. These students now work in Bridgeport, Shelton, Seymour, Milford, Fairfield, Danbury, and Stamford. Thank you. So each week, many more manufacturing companies are offering to provide internships and contacting us to learn more about the program, and we certainly hope you'll spread the word. This month, 2 significant resources became available to Housatonic Community College for our Advanced Manufacturing Center. Many of you may have heard that the first is a partnership with colleges across the state, in which Housatonic Community College was a recipient of $1.26 million, which will bring new resources in staffing and equipment to the Advanced Manufacturing Center. The second is the Manufacturing Innovation Fund, which was established through DECD. And through their Incumbent Worker Training Fund, the college will soon offer no-cost training in 5 areas to local companies. So this is an extraordinary time for all of us, and for all of you, I'm sure. So clearly the college has been fortunate to work with local businesses, many of whom are here this evening, and professional organizations in developing Advanced Manufacturing Center. We've also been fortunate to work with local, state, and national government representatives to do this work. And several of those representatives are here this evening. I'm so pleased that Connecticut State Representative Tony Wong can be with us tonight to help celebrate the first induction ceremony of the Hall of Fame. He's been a key partner in the development of the Advanced Manufacturing Center and is an important advocate always for Housatonic. We thank you for that, Representative Wong. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Representative Tony Wong.
Wow, it's tough to follow. And again, congratulations. Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure for me to be here today, and I would like to thank President Roop again for asking me to say a few words. As many of you know, I'm really passionate about manufacturing, as you all are here as well, and the opportunities that manufacturing gives to the people that make up our community. Let me put it simply, it's all about job creation. You've all heard the often quoted statistics that one manufacturing job really creates about 1.5 million, did I say million? Sorry. About 1.5 jobs in other industries and trades. But sometimes we actually think that it actually creates more in regards to quality of life and return to the community in which we live in. And that's why manufacturing is so important right now to all of us. New job numbers just came out last week, and new manufacturing numbers came out this morning. And I won't bore you with statistics, but the summarization is this. Jobs, and manufacturing jobs particularly, create wealth. They create a sense of self in our community. When you talk about the names of Bridgeport Machines, Bullards, Warnaco, these are names that just doesn't resonate in our state. They are international and renowned. But what it also did was bring back prosperity and wealth into our community. It has made Fairfield County and Connecticut as a whole such a rich and vibrant community. That's what manufacturing does. And I think as we kind of evolve into an age where, major manufacturing has seen its ebbs and flows, what we have is a renaissance in our community. A renaissance where precision manufacturing, the ability to really fine-tune and compete on a world marketplace again, is occurring in Connecticut. We have, as a result of this advanced manufacturing, we've actually seen results where people are making transitions in their lives. They are gaining valuable, tangible skills, and they're creating wealth again. They're creating a sense of self-esteem. I've had an opportunity to meet with someone who is changing industries from the newspaper industry to start this class. That's what manufacturing education at Housatonic provides. That's what manufacturing jobs provide, is an opportunity for people to pursue the American dream. So I'm thrilled to be up here, but I'd be remiss in not recognizing my fellow state representative colleague, Laura Hoydick from Stratford, home of Sikorsky. And my very gracious host, Dottie Larson of Bridgeport Machines. And I want to close by saying we need to make a commitment to the investment of manufacturing education. There is nothing more important for Laura and I to bring the message back to Hartford that we need to get rid of unreasonable taxes, regulation, and allow American entrepreneurialism to succeed. I believe the sky is not falling in our state. but at the same time, we need to get rid of the gray linings and bring the sunshine in and really pursue the American dream. So thank you for having me, but more importantly, let's celebrate what great tradition we have, and let's make some really, really fantastic new ones. So thank you.
We had a little glitch. We always like to bring you a speaker, okay, that really can tell you their own story, and to bring to you what being a student at Housatonic Community College really means. And so therefore, it's my pleasure to introduce our student speaker, Dominic Figueredo. Did I get it right? You can see I messed that one right up. Dominic is going to tell you a little bit about his history.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic.
That was good.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that great?
That last name has plagued me. That's why they call me Fig, because there's too many letters.
Did you say it for me?
Figueredo.
Figueredo. Okay, now everybody knows, right?
Thank you. So how's everybody doing? Good, good. Well, I'm very excited to be here. I'm always excited to be back in my hometown. I'm always excited to be back at Housatonic. They said 2 minutes, keep it real tight, 2 minutes. I'm like, but I have like 2 hours worth of stuff I want to tell these people. They were like, no, 2. So I have to be very concise. So here we go. Born and raised in Bridgeport. My dad was an immigrant, only graduated 8th grade. Worked as a construction worker most of life. He came here and lucky enough to land a job at Sikorsky's in Bridgeport, where he welded, he actually riveted tip caps, which was kind of a tip-off to why he could never hear me when I was trying to talk to him. He was would never wear the hearing protection. So I worked in, he got me a job there for the summer after high school. I worked in fabrication, plastics. I worked there for a while, and then I decided to go back to school. So I graduated Housatonic in 1988. And I decided to go back to Sikorsky's. I was trained as a spot welder in Stratford. I worked as, with mills, lathes, shop control, and I really liked it, but my dream was to be a famous comedian, and I had to leave, and I ended up going back. I ended up going out to Hollywood for several years to be an entertainer. It wasn't all that I thought it would be. Had a little bit of a hard time out there. A couple things happened that kind of set me back a little bit. And I remember talking to my wife, and we decided to come back east. So we got a paid move, came back east. And I remember how much I liked manufacturing. I decided to go back to manufacturing program at Housatonic. Unfortunately, in the interim, my wife had gotten hurt at work. She fractured her spine. We had humongous med bills, et cetera. And it made it very difficult. Thankfully, as always, HCC was right there for me. I remember talking to Bill Griffin. He was able to help me to procure a scholarship, which was extremely helpful because I don't think I would have been able to come back if not for that. When I, towards the end of my time here at Housatonic, I had already acquired a job at Fairfield University as their manufacturing instructor, which is awesome. So that's where I am today. Applause, yes, applause now would be good. Yeah. So more important than all that was I just wanted to mention some of the amazing people that I had the opportunity to study with here while I was here, not only the instructors, but also the students. I call them pirates because, man, there was like all kinds of people in this program, and some of them had made so many wrong turns they were now like just going around in circles. You know, they just were completely lost. But underneath all that, you could see the tremendous talent that some of these people had. They had just made, you know, bad decisions throughout their life, and here they were, and here I was, you know. So it was, the amazing part of it was throughout the program just watching how everybody kind of transformed. And by the end of it, you had these amazingly productive people that had structure, and they had a goal, and they were excited. They were excited about life, you know. And I guess what we all had in common was a desire to do the right thing at that time, and a need for some financial help, because pretty much everybody was, in the hole and just struggling and trying to figure out how we were going to pull this all off. So they asked me to speak for 2 minutes, and I was like, what's really important? So what I believe is the most important aspect of it, outside of the fact that it gave me a cool career and gave people a launching point from where to start into the manufacturing field, is I'm here to tell you about the donations, scholarships, and how important it is that you guys give in one way or another, and I know that you do, because I got a scholarship, and that really got me through this program. And I just wanted to thank all of you on behalf of all the students that graduated this past year, because honestly, if it wasn't for donations and funding and help, a lot of these guys certainly couldn't have made it, and a lot of them were pretty much, this was probably it. Like, this was the last shot. And they were able to succeed because of what everybody helped with in the finances and so forth. So that to me is one of the most important aspects, and it really, honestly, from firsthand experience, it changes lives forever. I mean, these guys were just so creative and so talented, but somehow they just kind of fell through the cracks, and because of the fact that there was somebody to give them a little wind under their sails, they were able to move forward in their lives and become successful. So that's pretty much it. So I wanted to thank you and say good night, because my 2 minutes is up. Thank you very much.
Looks like I can't turn the pages. Thank you. Just before we begin, we actually have a few minutes to eat, okay? I want to recognize that we have folks here from both Bridgeport and Washington who send greetings. Senator Blumenthal's representative, Tom Allen, is here. Tom? Well, maybe he isn't. Okay. Evan Johnson from Senator Murphy's office was here earlier but had to leave. Michael Dunn from Congressman Himes' office is here. Michael? You stand, please. Say hello to you. And from Mayor Finch's office, we have Adam Wood. Adam, thank you. So I know the mayor sends his greetings, but he's in Washington as well, right? For the mayor. Oh, he's with President Clinton. Oh, you know. All of our representatives have graciously brought certificates or proclamations to honor all of our inductees. So we really thank them for that, and we thank you all for being here, and now it's time to have dinner, and you'll see us again soon after we finish eating. Thank you. Earlier in the evening, I mentioned the name of, mentioned that Mayor Finch's office has sent a representative to be with us this evening because the mayor is in Little Rock, Arkansas. And Adam Wood is here, and he would like to convey a message from the mayor. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to say welcome to the city of Bridgeport. We're so happy so many of you are here tonight. I'm very fortunate to be here. I'm here because the mayor is in Little Rock, Arkansas. He had a wonderful opportunity to be at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, a forum they're doing with President Clinton on the celebration of the anniversary of community policing. So he's down there with our police chief. But we're just at such a positive crossroads here in Bridgeport. And tonight is such a wonderful way to celebrate that crossroads. We have such a proud history of manufacturing here in Bridgeport. I think many of you know Bridgeport invented flight. We were the first to invent flight here in Bridgeport. So something to be proud of. And we've manufactured the arms that won millions of people in this world freedom, which was a significant contribution to the world. We've manufactured so many wonderful things, from sewing machines to corsets. And you know, many of these factories and many of these jobs have left Bridgeport. But there's still so many here. We still have manufacturing alive here in Bridgeport, and some of you are here tonight. We have Schwertel Stamp, I know, Kathy Saint is here, who's a leader in manufacturing. She's been around for 125 years, I think. I know How many years? Well, no, sorry, not Kathy hasn't been around for, sorry about that. Her company, Swirl Sam's been around for 125 years. Kathy is 30 years old, I think. And Chris Lorch from Alloy Engineering, they're 58, I think, years old. Unger just celebrated their 50th anniversary, and they're growing and going strong in the city of Bridgeport as well. So, we've got this great manufacturing past. We've got a lot of healthy manufacturing jobs in the city of Bridgeport that we need to support now. We've got wonderful programs at Housatonic that are teaching new generations how to do these jobs and get good paying jobs in this new economy. And we're changing the way, the type of industry we do here in Bridgeport. We have a new green economy that we're embracing. We built the largest fuel cell in North America here in Bridgeport. We have created hundreds of new jobs and tens of millions of new taxable dollars here in the city of Bridgeport based on green jobs, from Bridgeport Biodiesel to FlexiPave that produces permeable pavement made of recycled tires. To all kinds of different wonderful new employers here in the city of Bridgeport. So there's a lot of wonderful news. City's growing for the first time in decades. We grew by 10,000 people according to the last census, which is a wonderful sign. And I just wanted to introduce one of the guys who's really, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are responsible for all this growth. One of them is Bill Coleman. He works in our development department. He's a wonderfully talented guy who puts together a lot of these deals, and he put together some really thoughtful notes about 4 of the 5 manufacturers being honored here tonight are no longer in Bridgeport. And that's, as I said, a wonderful opportunity for us and a very proud past of ours. But Bill put together some notes on how we're transitioning and how some of those wonderful empty lots are now turning into a wonderful future for the city of Bridgeport. So I just want to introduce Bill Coleman, and he's going to say a few words.
Thank you. So I also wanted to start with a new trivia question. Okay, I'm going to list some cities, and I expect Paul Timpanelli to be the person who will raise his hand and answer this question first. But I want you to tell me what these cities have in common. Springfield, Mass., Canton, Ohio, Cooperstown, New York, Nashville, Tennessee, Newport, Rhode Island, Cleveland, Ohio, and Bridgeport, Connecticut. All the fames. How about Newport? Do you know what Newport has? That was the least. Tennis. Nashville is? You got it. Cooperstown, we know, is baseball. Canton, Springfield up the road. And Paul, since it's one of your favorite cities, how did Cleveland ever become the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? They thought of it. So we're very thankful that you all have thought about Bridgeport as the home to the Manufacturing Hall of Fame. And in the Economic Development Office, we very much see this as an economic development opportunity. Just as those other halls of fame have created identity and destinations and an energy, we don't want you to stop here. The energy in this room is something we want to capitalize on and make part of our city's agenda and image going forward. So to Adam's point about some of these buildings and sites, we are remanufacturing ourselves. We're reinventing ourselves, just as this whole sector of the economy is. And the city is trying to recycle itself with our green mayor leading the front. It was interesting just to look at some of these great names. We didn't want this night to be just about nostalgia, but also about the repositioning of these properties. So right now, we are playing baseball. We're Underwood made typewriters. We're scoring goals. We're Jenkins made valves. We're Warnaco made girdles. We are now girding this city with loft apartments. The former Bassick Casters plant, which looms over the railroad tracks on I-95, is now slated for housing after a bit of a slugfest at the city council just last night. That's moving forward. The old Elias Howe School, named after the inventor of the sewing machine, was recently converted by a Bridgeport son, a guy named John Getz, who's a son of an immigrant Portuguese family who went to that school as a child, now has refurbished it as 37 units of new senior housing. The former Bede Chain Building, which was one of the first buildings I toured when I came to Bridgeport under Paul Timpanelli's tutelage, and I went through the building and the whole thing shook as these chains were being rattled out of those machines. That has been repurposed and repositioned as a home for a charter school as you come into the west side of the city. Besides the older buildings and sites, you have some of the larger, broader sites, which we haven't really necessarily been able to recycle, but we are definitely repurposing. The old Bryan Electric site, Westinghouse Electric site, where they made circuit breakers. Shavs now makes bread. A company called Acto now cuts stone. As Adam mentioned, Dominion Power out of Virginia creates power with the largest fuel cell plant in the hemisphere. And DiGiulio Sausage makes the metaphor real, because sometimes the people say in manufacturing, you don't want to know how the sausage is made? Well, if you do, it's made at DiGiulio. And they just came here from Stanford. And actually, the fellows from TD Bank who helped to bring them here are here. And they're a great Bridgeport company, family owned. They have that kind of Bridgeport vibe where they want to reach out into the community and hire people. And they make up part of that small business mix that continues to grow here. I'm going to touch upon just some of the new ones we have. Adam mentioned some of them, but there's some smaller ones too. The Lecoq Bakery, we have a chef who came here from Greenwich by way of Paris. He's on Union Avenue. He employs about 80 to 100 people, makes some of the finest pastry and the croissants you see in New York City hotels. We have a quilter who was a Rhode Island School of Design graduate. She's in the former American Fabrics factory. She sells quilts that sell from $5,000 to $10,000. They're at the Whitney store and the Whitney Museum in New York, Neiman Marcus. We have Win Tech Racing down on South Avenue near Seaside Park. They make rowing shells. They used to buy them, import them from China. Now they're making them here. And they're also encouraging the growth of rowing clubs in the city. So a lot of good stuff going on. I know the mayor would love to be here, and I'm talking too long. Deborah Cavanis from the city is here as well, the Small Minority Business Development Office. It's very much the theme of this evening is that we're here to work with you. We're glad you're about making things, that you made this possible, made it real, and we're very honored. Thank you.
That was fabulous, especially for those of you who aren't intimately involved in what's going on in the city. It's a great way to understand what is going on. And as a taxpayer of Bridgeport, I love to hear stories like that. Well, anyway, now as the old TV cliche goes, it's time for a word from our sponsor. Bloom Shapiro is the largest regional certified public accounting, tax, and business consulting firm based in New England, with CPA firm offices in West Hartford and Shelton, Connecticut, Boston, Quincy and Newton, Mass, and Providence, Rhode Island. They are known for their business expertise and ability to highly customize solutions for each business that they serve. They consult with hundreds of manufacturers in New England, and representing them tonight is on the podium is one of their partners, Janet Prislow, and we are so pleased to have her here representing a company that has been our key partner. Janet?
Thank you, Barbara. Good evening. It's truly a pleasure to be here tonight to join in congratulating the inaugural inductees into the Hall of Fame, and also have a chance to speak to all of you. You might be wondering why an accounting, tax, and business consulting firm would have such a high level of interest in a Hall of Fame focused on manufacturing. At the highest level, the answer is found in our mission statement. Our mission is to continually apply our talents and skills to make our clients, our colleagues, our firm, and our communities better than when we began. Those last words, better than when we began, steer our every action to drive success, not only for ourselves, but for the communities that we serve. In the case of manufacturing, Bloom Shapiro has a long history of strong partnerships and strong industry relationships that have driven our success. In the natural course of these partnerships, we have gained insight into both the importance of manufacturing and its needs to sustain and grow now and well into the future. The cycle of manufacturing is moving from decades of decline and job loss in our country to one of growth and great promise. An effect of this cycle is that many of our brilliant engineers and tradesmen have retired or are close to retirement. This has left a void in the form of a lack of manufacturing skills to respond to the resurgence of this industry. We believe the largest impediment to sustaining manufacturing growth is this lack of highly skilled specialists. Therefore, we at Bloom Shapiro are committed to being active participants in addressing the skilled talent void. One of the ways we can contribute to the partners' futures is by supporting education for ready, willing, and able students. By helping to form a new workforce that will have a positive and lasting impact leading to sustained manufacturing growth, we are also helping address unemployment of both young and displaced workers. It is not every day that one gets an opportunity to contribute to such an impactful win-win. We also believe that we have a responsibility as leaders in the business community to serve as another voice for our clients and businesses in Connecticut. Through the publication of our research and activism in the media, we continue to inform our legislatures and the general public of our challenges that our businesses are facing and the opportunities and benefits that can be derived by unleashing their potential. Our commitment to manufacturing is to make it better than when we began, and that commitment stretches well into the future as growth generates new needs and challenges. Congratulations to the Hall of Fame for being a voice that draws attention to great opportunity for our country, as well as highlighting tremendous achievements of the past. Congratulations to the students in the Advanced Manufacturing and Engineering programs here at Housatonic Community College. You are embarking on an exciting future. Last but not least, congratulations to tonight's inductees that have set the bar of achievement high and laid the solid foundation upon which the future will be built. You serve as an inspiration to what we can achieve. Actor and manufacturing advocate John Ratzenberger is our inaugural chair of the steering committee. John is a passionate supporter for precision manufacturing and creating middle-class jobs in the U.S. John unfortunately could not join us this evening as he had a contractual agreement out of state. But he stopped by the Advanced Manufacturing Center last week, and the foundation videotaped him working with the students. Here is John's message.
Hi, I'm John Ratzenberger. My regrets for not being able to be here tonight, but I'd like to tell you about why I'm so passionate about manufacturing. The United States is first in manufacturing and productivity and has been forever. Manufacturing is the fastest growing segment of the U.S. GDP and is currently 12% of the total GDP. Yeah, Bridgeport is filled with old empty buildings, sure. But in its heyday, 1/3 of all the adults in this city were involved in manufacturing. Matter of fact, my family was part of that. Bridgeport is important because first city to create a high school training course for manufacturing and the first city to create a tech school at Bullet Havens. First city to create affordable housing to support manufacturing. And the first city to create a large space and put in utilities specifically to recruit manufacturing. And we can do it again. Today's manufacturing offers real salaries and real careers. The pictures in the room around you, it shows dark and dirty, dangerous work. But today's manufacturing is cleaner than most operating rooms. Today's manufacturing uses green energy and all kinds of energy. No more dirty smokestacks. But we need to get people trained, and that's why I'm here. Programs like the Advanced Manufacturing Center here at Housatonic Community College are the future of U.S. manufacturing. And these are the faces of the future. Aren't they happy faces? They're happy because they know they're going to be making some serious cash in the future. These students study at Housatonic for 1 year, get a certificate, and walk into a good-paying job. Programs like this are the fastest way to train the next generation of manufacturing employees so manufacturers can increase production and grow. This will increase exports and add to our bottom line. And let's not forget middle school and junior high students. 5th grade is not too early to start learning how to make something with your own hands. The American Manufacturing Hall of Fame launched a middle school program this summer and is talking about creating a permanent camp for kids. We should all get behind that. As a matter of fact, the carpentry skills I learned right here in Bridgeport Middle School is what kept me alive as I pursued a career in acting. So, let's go make something. What do you say?
Yeah! Wasn't that terrific? Yeah. I have to give a shout out to Dan Wisniewski. Okay, we weren't going to do this, but Dan is our producer, and he pulled that off in what, 24 hours? So, thank you. He's one of the co-chairs, and he has an idea a minute. We call him the Energizer Bunny. Anyway, speaking in place of John this evening, besides his wonderful video, is one of the co-chairs of our committee, the steering committee. He's worked for 30 years in manufacturing, and his passion for both the history and future of manufacturing Bridgeport and our country runs really, really deep. He is on many boards and committees about manufacturing and about business in general. One is the advisory committee to the school's advanced manufacturing program, this school. He is the president of Pep Lacey, a Bridgeport company that's been in business for nearly 100 years. Our keynote tonight is from Ken Lisk. Ken?
Thank you, Barbara. Yes, I'm not John Ratzenberger. I have been mistaken occasionally for Philip Seymour Hoffman, but much to my wife's chagrin, never as Brad Pitt. So, anyway. Barbara, are we out of order here? Okay. Turn page. Okay. Let's go make something. Those are some pretty inspiring words from an actor who has never forgotten his roots and is willing to use his celebrity to shine a bright light on the importance of American manufacturing. Tonight, we are making something, and that something is history by creating a Hall of Fame dedicated to celebrating manufacturing right here. Often we look at the empty brick and mortar monuments of closed factories as an industrial past that's gone forever. But I think we really look at them in the wrong way. As we bring the past into the light of the day, dust it off, and take a closer look, we realize that not only are our industrial roots something to be extremely proud of, they're a necessary part of the future. Without the innovation and passion of the companies we celebrate tonight, and many others like them, that forged our place as in the world as first and foremost in manufacturing, the foundation for the resurgence in manufacturing we're now experiencing today would not be in place. As I look around the room and I see nodding heads, I can see that yes, we all feel that resurgence. It's here and it's growing. A manufacturing company, like any other company, is successful as the people that put their skills and efforts into imagining, innovating, and creating. Buildings and machines are worthless without people. Raw stock is just a material until you add an idea to it. It is the responsibility of all of us in the room tonight, in the entire American community, to actively be part of the skill development of the next generation. Believe me, the jobs are there waiting to be filled with a skill-equipped workforce. We have with us tonight members of this year's class of the Housatonic Community College Advanced Manufacturing Center. Students, would you please stand? These are the faces of the future, and the main reason we are here tonight is our responsibility to pass on the tradition of manufacturing excellence and equip them with advanced skills. Manufacturing looks different, and the level of skill needed to be a success is different as well. I'm inspired by our youth and enthusiasm they express. The awards we are about to present were made by students of Platt Technical High School. It was an interesting assignment, as it was a history lesson, an art lesson, and a manufacturing technology lesson rolled into one. The interest and appreciation they showed for the companies we are honoring is one of the great byproducts of the education we all have responsibility to pass on. And I just want to show one of the awards. It's just to give you an idea of students researching companies, coming up with ideas, interpreting it, and putting it into art form. This is We have made many connections in this room tonight, but connecting the past with the future, and as a result, bearing witness to an inspired new generation is the most important connection we can possibly make. To paraphrase Mr. Ratzenberger, let's go build the future. Thank you.
No, we're all set. Well, it's time to begin presenting awards. I know you've been waiting, right? But we really appreciate you listening and the enthusiasm that we feel in the room. It's time for us to give the Leadership Award and then to induct the Hall of Fame members. Our third co-chair, Dan Wisniewski, will join us for this part of the program. At this time, the steering committee would like to recognize someone who, if not for her efforts, we would literally not be here tonight. Over the last decade, this individual has been a tireless advocate for Housatonic Community College and for its students. 3 years ago, she was extremely instrumental in getting the state to bring the advanced manufacturing program here, and has worked hard with the advisory committee that Ken participates in, along with Kathy Saint and Chris Lorch and others in the room, and the center staff and instructors to improve the center to where it is today. When we approached her with our idea for a Hall of Fame, she immediately saw the impact that we could make on the students and in the manufacturing community. Those are the traits of a leader, and it is only appropriate that we award the 2014 American Manufacturing Hall of Fame Leadership Award to Anita Glonetsky, past president of Housatonic Community College. That's such a pleasure. I've been working with Anita for what, how many, 10 years now, Anita? At least. It feels like more, but I will tell just 2 seconds story. When our previous president was leaving and we were just embarking on our first major gifts campaign at the college, or the foundation, and our president was leaving and Anita was the interim, and I walked into her office and I said, help, because you need a president to help you. And Anita and I and our team raised $1 million. The first time we ever raised that much money on a campaign. So I have been indebted to her ever since. So thank you again for your leadership. Ken, this is yours.
Now on to our inductees. Over 100 companies and individuals were nominated for induction this year by our nominating committee, which in our inaugural year comprised of members of the steering committee. 31 companies and individuals were handed off to our research committee. The committee appointed leaders and worked with HCC paid interns to research the nominees. They created recommendations from the research and handed it off to the selection committee. This doesn't sound complicated, does it? The selection committee, working separately from any other committee and without outside influence, met several times, and each time more names dropped from the list of those being considered. The 5 companies left this year are our inductees. There is a bio of each company in your program, and before each company is inducted, a short video listing their major accomplishments will play. Without getting into too much detail, a company can be inducted in any one of 3 time periods. This year, all inductees are from the classic era of manufacturing, which is the pre-1946 period. We will now induct the 5 members in alphabetical order. We'd like to ask the representatives of the inductees to please stay on the stage until all are inducted.
Our first inductee. It has been called the most important tool in the history of precision manufacturing. The milling tool that became known as the Bridgeport was the personal computer of its day, bringing in changes to the world, the likes that had never been seen.
During the Depression, 2 enterprising Swedish immigrants planned to design and manufacture an electric hedge clipper at a Bridgeport, Connecticut pattern maker. Instead, they created what has been called the most important tool made in the 20th century and brought affordable precision manufacturing to the world. Rudolf Banow and Magnus Wallstrom, who were part of America's resilient spirit, began working together on the clipper idea, but put it aside when asked for a special tool by a client. That's when they created the successful Model C head milling attachment. They later improved upon it by incorporating a quill that could drill and bore. When clients complained about the old machines that used the new attachment, Banow responded by sketching the design of a new milling machine on the back of a paper bag. The machine was revolutionary in that the horizontal table of the machine moves on the X, Y, and Z axis beneath the rotating head. Because the rotating head could articulate around several axes, almost infinite angles could be reached with almost any tool that could be fitted to the head. The 2 inventors formed Bridgeport Machines and sold the first machine for $995 in 1939. Nicknamed the Bridgeport after the city where it was made, the machine was an instant success, and through World War II the company prospered and became famous for its small and medium-sized vertical milling machines. Bridgeport Machines revolutionized machining and became the ultimate symbol of local innovation. To this day, regardless of maker, the industry term for vertical milling machines is the Bridgeport.
This is the award made by Platt High School students using precision manufacturing techniques that will be given to Mrs. Larson right now.
Accepting the award this evening is Mrs. Dorothy Banow Larson. She is the daughter of the founder of Bridgeport Machines. Did I induct her? Thank you. Mrs. Larson was just telling us that there were other members of the family at the table, and we're going to take a picture of all of them together. She said they're good kids. Thank you so much. And Mrs. Larson, thank you for all that you've done, your family has done, and for what you've done in this community. Anyone that knows Mrs. Larson knows that she is a philanthropist? Yes, that's the right word, right? And she has done extensive work, and she is a major supporter of the college. Thank you. And if I didn't say it already, I hereby induct Bridgeport Machines into the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame.
If there are patron saints to precision manufacturing, it is the Bullard clan. Their inventions so profoundly change the way things are made that all modern manufacturing can directly be traced to their contributions. And just something I heard recently is Bullard machines over in China are being, the old ones built here are being torn down, rebuilt, and used. They're still in use. The ones that are 100 years old are still in use. So there will be a video now, but I just wanted to point out that they're still being used.
The lessons Edward P. Bullard learned as a young manufacturing apprentice would profoundly change manufacturing and influence his own son, who would continue his legacy and build the largest tool manufacturing company in the United States. Following the Civil War, Bullard invented a new drill press that innovated manufacturing during a time of rapid growth. Shortly after, Bullard and a short-term partner designed a new engine lathe that was more accurate, increased production, and reduced time and energy for each production. Bullard's next big idea was revolutionary. Since almost all machine tools were horizontal, it required a great deal of work and support to suspend the workpiece from a faceplate on a horizontal revolving spindle. By laying the work down, Bullard invented the vertical lathe and changed manufacturing forever. At the turn of the century, Edward Bullard Jr., now a trusted lieutenant in his father's company, was introduced to the brand new automobile. Realizing the potential for new and replacement parts, Bullard designed a combination of his father's vertical lathe and the turret lathe. In order to keep up with the growing auto parts market, Bullard Jr. and his brother Dudley Brewster designed and created a multi-function, multi-spindle machine named the Multomatic. It became the standard on the Ford automobile assembly line, increasing production, minimizing floor space, and reducing labor. Bullard survived the Depression by constantly innovating existing designs. At the outbreak of World War II, the company committed 100% of their efforts into supplying the Allies and became the largest machine tool company in the world. Bullard is now owned by Bourne & Koch Incorporated, who continue to supply replacement parts for older machines that keep on doing what their inventors intended. That is, creating some of the most innovative manufacturing ideas in history.
And I hereby induct the Bullard Tool Company into the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame. Accepting the award this evening are Amy Bullard Davis. She is the daughter of Edward Payson Bullard. He is the fourth generation direct descendant. Ken Bullard, who is the great-great-grandson of the founder, and Marna Wilbur, the great-great-granddaughter of the founder. Congratulations.
Yes, I do. I have to Ken, who's a great historian, I'm a great historian as well. I have the original copy of Yankee Toolmaker. Very few copies were ever published. I own them all. And I'd like to donate one to the museum as a historical monument.
Thank you. Well done. I just told Amy she has to share that with her cousins.
Good. Just on behalf of the Housatonic Foundation, I just want to say thank you very much for this very precious artifact from your family. Thank you.
Another family, the Hubbles, saw a need to create safety in an emerging technology sweeping through both factories and homes. Their ability to create inventions that harnessed electricity saved countless children and adults from electrocution. Many of the technical standards they set are still in place today.
In the early days of electrical power, one man saw the necessity of controlling the power's current and standardizing all connections so the new technology could be safely distributed and used by all. Harvey Hubble II came from a family of manufacturers. As electricity first came to the shop floor, then retail spaces and homes, it became obvious to him that the then current standard of hardwiring equipment and lighting instruments directly to the electrical power source was not only impractical, it was downright dangerous. Hubble went about designing and inventing a separate circuit and switch to control electricity at each item being powered. Called the pole socket upon its release in 1896, the simple bead pole chain invention is still in use today and has saved uncountable individuals from electrocution. Further inventions came, including the idea of having a plug from each unit being powered into a standardized wall plate. Hubble created separable plugs in different configurations and a single flush-mounted receptacle. New products for electrical circuits followed, all designed for ease of use and users' safety. One of the most successful was the duplex receptacle, still found everywhere that electrical power is used. Harvey III took up his father's mantle and brought it to world recognition. He expanded the company and began creating new products during the Depression to keep as many workers as he could employed. Hubble's innovative products greatly aided the Allied efforts in World War II. Harvey II's inventive and innovative spirit and desire to safely supply citizens with the comforts that electricity brings to their lives, combined with Harvey III's desire to aid the community and provide the company's products to as many people as he could reach, changed the world. Every time someone on Earth flicks a light switch or plugs in their laptop, the legacy of Harvey Hubble lives on.
And I hereby induct Hubble Incorporated into the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame. Accepting tonight's award, I can't read my own writing, excuse me. Okay. For the family is Harvey Hubble V. And he's the direct descendant, obviously, of the founder of the company, and David Nord, who is the current chairman of the board and CEO of Hubble Incorporated. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Ken's favorite, by the way. I'm just warning you.
Yes.
Well, most of my family works here, so that's not why they get in. A Russian immigrant with extensive engineering experience had a clear vision to create an aircraft that could travel vertically and hover. This innovator believed that such a machine could travel to remote locations and enter dangerous areas to rescue people in distress. Less than 4 decades after humans achieved heavier-than-air mechanized flight, Igor Sikorsky invented the first practical helicopter.
In the 15th century, Leonardo da Vinci conceived of a man-powered aerial screw that would compress air with a wide, flat blade and lift the craft high into the air. 400 years later, an innovative immigrant to the United States would make da Vinci's dream a reality by inventing the first practical helicopter. Already a renowned engineer and designer of aircraft in both his native Russia and as an immigrant in the United States for his work with fixed-wing aircraft, Igor Sikorsky had long had a vision of a practical way of rescuing people who were in danger in remote areas. Working from his Stratford, Connecticut plant in 1939, Sikorsky created a craft that had one long blade rotating on a shaft with a direct drive engine beneath it. The final version used one rotor in the tail section of the craft. He soon began extensive testing in the lordship area of Stratford, Connecticut. In 1939, he flew his VS-300 model while tethered, and in 1940, he flew it with the aircraft under complete human control. The design theory of the VS-300 of one main rotor and one anti-torque rotor is still the model for all similar concept helicopters today. The 2.5 years it took to create the final configuration of the VS-300 led to the improved R-4 aircraft, which began production in 1942. The aircraft was purchased by the U.S. Armed Forces and served as a rescue vehicle in the war, mostly in CBI theater and the South Pacific. By the end of World War II, over 130 R-4 aircraft were in use by the Allies for rescue missions, transporting the wounded, or for ferrying parts in remote areas. The flexibility of landing the craft also made it an excellent urban transportation vehicle for hospitals and dignitaries. Every U.S. president since Dwight Eisenhower has flown a Sikorsky helicopter while in office. Igor Sikorsky's desire to create the ultimate rescue vehicle has resulted in over 2 million lives saved. The legacy of his contributions and innovations still resonate within the United States and across the world today in the current products of Sikorsky Aircraft and United Technologies Corporation.
I wanted to point out how tight-knit community manufacturing is in Bridgeport. Several of the pictures of the VS-300 being flown were actually taken by Dorothy Bullard of the Bullard family, so it just ties everything together.
So for formality's sake, I hereby induct Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation into the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame. Accepting is Jim Palumbo, the VP of Product Centers, and Sherry Casa Santa, VP of Assembly and Flight Operations.
Society has struggled with women's rights for hundreds of years. Though there have been breakthroughs and there are many challenges ahead, one of the most significant events of the modern era was women gaining freedom of movement, literally freedom, as we said earlier, from the prison of their own clothing. More than any other company, Warner's had the foresight and the vision to create the modern female undergarment.
When Dr. Lucien Warner decided to solve a 300-year-old problem plaguing women, he also freed them from the shackles of their own clothing and started a revolution that is still going strong today. In the late 19th century, Dr. Warner quit his medical practice to travel and educate women on some of the most important health issues facing them. At the time, stylish Victorian women had resumed an older clothing style called tight lacing, a corset adjustment that shrank the waist and pushed the bust up and forward. While this created a fashionable and desired shape, many believed the tight bone and metal lace fabric to be unhealthy. In response to this need, Warner designed a fully fabric corset that provided shape without sacrificing movement and health. a breath of fresh air to many women. Warner and his brother, Dr. Ira DeVere Warner, began selling their Dr. Warner's Health Corset. As word spread, women breathed easier and sales soared. The good doctors formed Warner Brothers Corset Manufacturers and filed patents on their health corset. They moved the company to Bridgeport, Connecticut in 1876 and ultimately employed 1,200 citizens, producing 6,000 corsets daily. During World War I, they purchased the first backless brassiere patent from its inventor. Warner's recognized they needed to explain bra sizing in a simple manner to a global audience. With that in mind, in 1937, they standardized the cup size of bras in the A-B-C format for order simplification. By the end of the Second World War, Warner's was considered the most innovative undergarment manufacturer in history. Today, Warner's is owned by PVH, a clothing conglomerate that also owns the Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger brands. Warner's undergarments and sportswear are still worn around the world, a testament to the dream of two innovators who wanted to make a safer and more comfortable product and ended up changing the world.
I hereby induct Warner's into the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame. Accepting the awards this evening are for the family is Timothy Warner Clark. He's the son of Lucetta Warner Clark, fourth generation direct descendant of the co-founder, Ira DeVere Warner. And, hey, Tim. And Dan Bowe. He's the vice president for Core Intimate Division of PVH. He started with Warner's 29 years ago, and he worked here, right here in Bridgeport during that time. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 5 2014 inaugural inductees into the American Manufacturing Hall of Fame.
We've covered the past. We have spoken about the present, and here is Dan to talk about our future.
Thanks, Barbara. So I'd like to talk about the way forward and how we can create even more opportunity. We're dedicated to the students and the Manufacturing Center here at HCC. But as an organization, we want to grow to an even wider audience. This summer, we did a test program at our launch when we brought 80 middle school students on campus and taught them about precision manufacturing and gave them a taste about what value they might find in a career in manufacturing. We now want to expand that. We are speaking to the state and private investors about creating a summer camp that educates students in a really fun way about their career options. As you heard Tony mention earlier, we're talking to various groups about creating an awareness campaign that in part will be focused on educating parents of middle school and junior high students so they can learn there are options in a career in precision manufacturing. And even though women are more than 50% of the US population and almost 50% of the total workforce, they only are 24% of the manufacturing workforce. And that includes white-collar jobs and non-skilled jobs. We want to help increase the number of skilled precision manufacturing jobs for women. And I see Kathy saying it right there, and she really is my hero. I mean that. These are real options, real careers, real decisions to be made. We are dedicated to our mission, we are firm in our resolve, and we have the talent and experience to create jobs for the next generation of the middle class. I am looking forward to speaking to many of you about these opportunities. We've just taken the first step. Thank you for being here tonight.
One housekeeping note. With all of the honorees, the people that have been inducted, please give us the opportunity to take a formal photo after we finish this evening, because we'd really like to have those to be able to present to you and to use at a later date, obviously. So we hope that you'll stay with us. It won't take that long. And finally, we've come to the end. What an exciting evening. As Dan mentioned, we'd love to have others join us in this exciting project. If you're interested in joining our committee, please leave your business card with any one of our volunteers on the way out, and we'll contact you over the next few weeks. There's all kinds of things to do. It doesn't have to be time-consuming for everyone, but we'd love your help, because we are a very small core group right now, and we'd love to have you join us. And of course, we could always use more financial support. Envelopes were left on your chairs in the event that you would like to leave a donation. And you could leave that with our volunteer as well. And finally, I need to acknowledge all of the committees listed in the program that put this event together, but most especially our Resource Development Committee. Ellen Tower, chair of the committee, Tom Array, Ed Rodriguez, Bruce Ennis, Jamie Scott, and Chris Carollo. Your work made the scholarships that we raised, the money we raised tonight for scholarships possible. To all of you, thank you again for being here, for all your support, and see you next year.